Okay, let's talk about my biggest weakness, which was draining my energy out for years. Now, maybe, perhaps, I have overcome it and I wanted to share it with you all. A few years back, if you had asked me what my biggest weakness was, I probably wouldn't have known the answer. Because on the surface, everything looked so fine. But in reality, something was really strange. People in my contact liked me so much. I was the one who was helping everybody. I was that little genie who was always ready to help everyone. I was the one who was listening to them, solving their problems. I was always there when they needed me, even in my worst phase. And you know what? I was really proud of it. That I was helping everybody. Because it's a good person way, right? And I was like this since my childhood. Maybe because of some childhood trauma. I don't know. But I was like this. It was very hard for me to say no to anyone. But few years back, one day, suddenly I realized something strange. I was the one who was making time for everyone when they needed me. But when I needed some help, I was trying to convince myself that the help I need is not that important. I should not disturb anyone. Maybe I can handle this myself. Then I realized why I was giving everyone else the permission to have needs, except myself. I didn't realize back then. I spent a lot of years being available for everyone, and slowly I was disappearing. I lost myself, and that's what called people pleasing. Nobody wakes up one day and become a people pleaser. This process is very slow. You never know the damage. It's just like a house losing its foundation one brick at a time. You will never notice the damage while it's happening. You will notice when the walls are cracked. For me, those cracks appeared in a relationship. I was very uncomfortable in that relationship. I was hurt. I was depressed. I was continuously struggling with my anxiety. But I didn't bother anyone. I never spoke about it. Instead of talking about it, complaining about it, I would stay silent. And that's, my friend, is the biggest mistake I had done in my life. I was not okay with anything, but I didn't want to create any kind of drama there. So I stayed silent. You won't believe, but I wanted to make everyone happy. And that was my biggest problem. I thought staying quiet was the most mature thing to do. Everyone says that, like, be mature, handle situation in silence, stay quiet, sit back and watch. But sometimes there is a need to say no. You know what nobody tells you? Unspoken feelings never disappear. They remain inside you. They just change their shape. They become resentment, and resentment, my friend, is like a backpack which gets heavier every single day. First, you will feel like you are carrying a stone, but day after day, it keeps piling up. And one day, you will find you have unbearable pain in your shoulder. You will feel exhausted every day. You will feel like running away from things every day, but you will never know why. It's just because you have forgotten what you are carrying. And that's exactly what happened to me. Issue was never the situation. It was the backpack. The issue was I was choosing silence over honesty, and every time I was doing this, I was abandoning myself. And bam, there came another lesson. And maybe this time I will learn it the hard way. It was a time I was constantly available for everyone. No matter how tired I was, no matter what I was dealing with, no matter how was my financial situation, no matter how my health was, whenever someone needed me, I showed up. Every time. If someone wanted my advice at 2 a.m., I was there for them. I don't know why. I was being the good person for like no reason because nobody was being that for me. Constantly, I was feeling proud. And you know what? I was making time for such people. who are not there in my life anymore. But one day I realized something very uncomfortable. Those people were so used to my availability that they were disappointed when I wouldn't show up. Like me, falling ill was a problem for them. Like they were disappointed. They were not concerned, they were not curious, they were just disappointed. And that moment I was thinking, how could anyone get upset after I have done so much for them in the past? Like, seriously, this truth was really hard to accept, but this was the truth. I have trained them to have unlimited access of me, and it's not their fault, it's mine. I never showed them where my limits are, and you can't never blame people for crossing boundaries they have never seen. That was the first time I realized that boundaries are not walls. They are just instructions to teach people how to treat you. Then I asked myself a really uncomfortable question. If I remove all this thing I do for people, will I still feel worthy? And to be honest, I didn't know. It was a complete blank in my head. It was because for a long time I was measuring my value by how useful I was for people. The more I gave, the more valuable I felt. The more people needed me, the more important I felt. And this is a dangerous way to live. Because usefulness can disappear, circumstances can change, and people can leave. Your value cannot be measured by your usefulness. If your worth is dependent on how useful you are, then your self worth will always be fragile. It's just like building a house in a sand, everything seems stable until the first storm arrives. And the biggest cost of people pleasing is your mental health, your trauma, your anxiety, your depression. And by time, my friend, it can become Alzheimer and dementia. You will lose the ability to hear your own voice because you are so focused on what others need, you forget what you need. You become so busy keeping the peace outside, you create a war inside yourself. And eventually, the person you are disappointing the most is you. So now the question arises, how can we stop this people pleasing behavior? If I can do this, you can also try. But first keep in mind that it's not about selfishness. It's not about being rude. It's not shutting people down. It's about also remembering yourself, what mattered to you. So the first thing is stop answering immediately. Whenever someone asks for any kind of help, don't just rush. Don't say like, yes, I can do this. No. Wait, take a pause and say, yeah, I will think about it. And by taking time, you will get a clarity in your head if you really want to do that work or not. Second thing is notice where resentment shows up. Resentment is often a sign that boundaries are missing. Set the boundaries. Third is learn to tolerate disappointment. If someone is disappointed in you because you have not helped them in something, it's not your fault. Okay, it's not because you have done something wrong. You chose yourself. And that's a good thing. Fourth is the most important thing you need to learn in any situation. You need to stop over explaining yourself. You will realize that people pleasers keep explaining themselves after saying a no. You don't need a 5-minute speech, baby. Just say no. Fifth thing is ask yourself, what did I do for myself today? And this question will give you a lot of clarity. Because if the answer is nothing, you are slowly become a stranger to yourself. So if you are loving others too much, don't forget to include yourself in that love. Pause. I said what I said. And answer me, have you ever lost yourself while trying to keep everyone else happy? Think about it.